So, well, I grew up in 1980s Kolkata. Chief Minister Jyoti Basu and the communists basically destroyed not just the economy of Kolkata and West Bengal, but the entire intellectual, cultural sphere. And right in front of my eyes, it kind of fell apart. And I always say that Kolkata didn't die; it was murdered, and I'm a witness to that murder. Kolkata was even in 1970. It was India's biggest city. It was the biggest commercial and industrial hub. It was culturally, politically a very vibrant place. Indeed, before independence, it was even more important because it, of course, was a capital till 1912. Actually, effectively into the 1930s, because even though the capital shifted, it continued to be the main hub. And it produced all these greats within a few generations. I mean, Vivekanand, Sri Aurobindo, Netaji. By the way, many of these people knew each other very well. So it's within a couple of generations, and this huge. And by the way, there were huge industries. Bengalis, by the way, were famous as scientists, as a businessman. Marwadi success came from Kolkata, not from the original homeland in Rajasthan. So the Birlas originally made their money there. So this was a real driver. And then it all fell apart. And this is important to understand, because when one thing falls apart, which is, let's say you decide that, you're going to, for whatever socialist kind of reasons, you're going to wreck the economy, be very clear that everything else gets wrecked as well. So there is no such thing as a vibrant cultural hub, which is not also an economic hub. So this is important, because this is also in the context, many people ask me, why do you do work in so many areas? Why are you working in history? Why are you building this ship? Why are you also working on why don't you just focus? In the end, I'm trying to rebuild a civilization. I'm not building just an economy. The economy is a part of it, but the overall purpose is rebuilding the civilization. So building a highway and rebuilding the Ayodhya temple are a part of the same agenda, and they cannot be understood separately from each other. And by the way, all civilizations that go through a renaissance or a rebirth have this phenomena. Yeah. So if you look at the late 1300s, 1400s, what happens in Europe, in northern Italy, not even in all of Europe, in small area, northern Italy, a whole small group of relatively small towns go through this explosion. And you have Florence, for example, producing this amazing art. Venice produces this amazing art. But in fact, neither of those is actually, their real business is not art. It's actually, in the case of Florence, it's finance, right? They're banking. What is their great invention? It is not art. It is actually double entry bookkeeping. Venice's great success are maritime trade. It's the stock exchange. And so all the art is actually a sub thing that sort of happens on the side as a result of this. What really is happening is an opening of mind, an opening of aspiration, which is manifesting in different ways. So the same people who were funding the art were also doing the banking and also sailing the shores. And by the way, this entire phenomenon that I just mentioned starts from northern Italy, rapidly spreads. It goes to it goes to the Netherlands, it goes to the Britain, it goes to Spain. So the same people who are listening to Shakespeare write his plays, and his first actual Shakespearean plays done for the first time, the Elizabethan England, are also the people who sank the Armada. It's Francis Drake must have watched those Shakespearean plays. He also is the guy who goes and circumnavigates the world. So it's the same people who set up the first East India Company. Same thing is going on meanwhile in the Netherlands. So what I'm trying to say is, it is not surprising that Kolkata was the hub of everything, because it very often were the same people doing all these different things. They knew each other. So it's really a opening of mind that happened. And it's called the Bengal Renaissance, in the same way as you talk about the European Renaissance. So when it went into decline, it was a closing of mind. And the closing of mind didn't just happen in business and in commerce. It also happened in science. At about the same time, it happened in culture. It happened in every sphere of human activity. So it is extraordinary that not only did the Birlas and all these people leave Kolkata and set up shop in Mumbai and other places, it is also the case that Kolkata has never produced again somebody of the caliber of Satyajit Ray or Rabindranath Tagore or Swami Vivekanand or Netaji Subhash Bose or Sri Aurobindo or Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose or any number of other names I can give you. It just didn't produce anybody of that caliber. Once things began to unwind, everything unwound. I remember growing up doing my homework essentially by lantern and candlelight. People have this thing कि मेरे पिताजी बहुत गरीब थे, and then he would sit under would do his homework by kerosene lamp and all that. I also did my homework by kerosene lamp, not because I came from a poor family. I came from a solidly middle class family, but because there was no electricity, and this was before the days of when generators were commonly available. So now some part of it was, of course, electoral malpractice. Booth capturing was converted into a art form. But I would argue that even more important than that was a poverty of aspiration. If your society aspires that the highest form of life is a union leader or an adda intellectual, what in Kolkata is called an atel, and that is your aspiration, that you are sitting around smoking and having sipping your old monk and passing judgment on the rest of the world. Point to the matter, that is the aspiration of the society. If Mrinal Sen movies are the aspiration of your society, then do not complain that that is what you get.